TY revision video for the upcoming Christmas exams. Now, first question: if f of x is x squared plus 2x minus 1, and g of x is 5x cubed minus 14x squared minus 7x minus 2, find 2 times f of x and state its degree. Now, its degree means what is the power? Its power of what is the highest power of x? Okay, so what we do is need to multiply 2 by f of x. So 2 multiplied by f of x, which is x squared plus 2x minus 1, is part A. Multiply out, and what we're going to get here is 2x squared plus 4x minus 2. Okay, and this is of degree 2. Now the reason why it's of degree 2 is because of the x squared. The squared is the highest power, so it's of degree 2. Now the next one is try 3f of x plus g of x. Okay, so 3f of x is 3 times f of x, which is going to be x squared plus 2x minus 1, plus g of x, which is basically 5x cubed minus 14x squared, so 5x cubed plus 5x cubed minus 14x squared minus 7x minus 2. Okay, next thing we do is just go and multiply this out, and we're going to get is 3x squared plus 6x minus 3, and that's going to be plus 5x cubed minus 14x squared minus 7x minus 2. Underline the like terms, so 5x cubed goes to the front. Underline the x squared, 3x squared, 14x squared. Okay, so that will give us minus 11x squared. Underline the 6x, the x's, 6x minus 7x is minus 1x. And finally, underline the normal numbers, minus 3 minus 2 gives us minus 5. Look at the highest power of the answer, and this is of degree 3. Degree 3, because x cubed is the highest power. Okay, next question. Now, perfect squares. Just a quick bit about perfect squares, okay, before we begin. This is an example of a perfect square. Now, you'll notice is we'll end up multiplying it out twice, okay? And what happens when we multiply it out twice is what we'll get is 9x cubed when we multiply it all out, and we'll get 6x in the middle because the two 3x's will add together, okay? So, and then we'll get plus 1 at the back. Now to go backwards, okay, so if we were asked to present this as a perfect square, what you can sometimes do is you can square root the first one and you get 3x. Square root the last one, you get 1. Next, check the sign in the middle. If it's a plus, then there's a plus in the middle, and that's how you get your answer. You square root the first one, square root the last one, plus 1 squared. Now, another example of this would be, we could give you an example here. It might be something like, let me see, 16x squared plus 1 at the end, and then minus 8x in the middle. Okay. Now, what you can do here is you square root the first one, and you get 4x. Square root the last one, you get 1. The middle one is a minus, so it's a minus and squared. So 4x minus 1 squared is the answer to that. Now, say for example, we had a similar question, but we didn't actually know it was the number 1. What we could do here is we could say it's the letter, let's say the letter Q. What we could say here is you can half the middle number. Okay, so you get the square root of the first one, which is 4x, half the middle number, which is minus 4x, okay, and then divide this by the original number, and you're going to get plus 1, or so you're going to get minus 1, so it's going to be 4x minus 1 squared. Okay, so we'll try this out now. Now, our first one is px squared plus 4x plus 1. So px squared plus 4x plus 1. Square root the last one. We know it's a 1. We can't square root the first one, so that's a problem. Now what we can do is we can half this one. Okay, so when we half it, we end up getting 2x. Okay, and it's a plus 2x. So this means that when we divide 2x by 1, we find out what px, the square root of px squared is. As it turns out, it's going to be 2x. Okay, so the answer here is going to be 2x plus 1 squared. And when we square out 2x plus 1 squared, what we're going to get, 2x plus 1 squared, we can square this out, and what we'll get is 2x plus 1 by 2x plus 1. And when we multiply this out, we're going to get 4x squared plus 4x when you multiply everything out, and then plus 1 at the back. So we know that these two numbers are the same, and p has to be equal to 4. Okay, next one. What we can do next is this one here, and do what we did before, square root 9x squared, and we get 3x. So we know it's got to be 3x something squared, okay? Half 24x, and we get 12x. Divide 12x by what we just got there, which is the 3x, and we get 4. It's a plus in the middle, makes a plus here. So 3x plus 4 squared. Multiply that out. And what you'll get is when you multiply the two of them out, you're going to get 9x squared. 3x by 3x is 9x squared. 4 by 3x is 12x. 3x by the other 4 is also 12x, so it's going to be 24x in the middle. And then finally 4 by 4 at the back is going to get you 16. This means s equals 16. Okay. Next question. Division, okay? So when you're doing these division questions, excuse me, when you're doing these division questions, what we're going to do is you first going to make sure that all the terms are filled in. So we have x cubes, we have x squared, we have x, and we have 2. So that means everything we need is there. Now remember, if you didn't have, let's say you didn't have any x squareds, remember you're allowed to fill in 0x squared. That's the way you should be doing it. But in this case it's not necessary because we have it there, okay? So you have 3x squared, sorry, 3x cubed plus 2x squared minus 7x plus 2. Then we have x squared plus x minus 2. So we're going to start dividing, okay? So the first thing you do is divide the first one, 3x cubed by x squared. So 3x cubed is 3xxx, x squared is xx, cancel them off, and what we're going to be left with is 3x. So 3x goes on top. Now you multiply. 3x by x squared is 3x cubed. 3x then multiplies by x to get you 3x squared. 3x then multiplies by minus 2 to get you minus 6x. Now what we gotta do is we gotta go in and take them away. So we gotta change the signs and everything. So this is gonna become a, this was a plus. This was a plus. So now we gotta go in and change the signs. Okay, so it's gonna turn into a minus. This one here is going to turn into a minus, and this one here is going to turn into a plus. So that's going to be 0 minus x squared minus x plus 2. Now, exact same procedure as last time. You look at the first number, which is minus x squared, and you divide it by x squared. So minus x squared divided by x squared gives you minus 1. So minus 1 goes here. And now you're going to multiply minus 1 by this number here, okay, everything in here. So minus 1 times x squared is minus x squared, minus 1 times x is minus x, and minus 1 times minus 2 is plus 2. Write down your line. Now you got to come across, change the signs. That's going to be a plus, plus, and this one here is going to be a minus, and what you realize next is that's going to be 0, that's going to be 0, and that's going to be 0. So the answer is 3x minus 1. Okay, next question. Simplify each of the following quotients. What quotient means is basically a fraction, okay? So let's look at the first one. This is going to be part 1. This one here would be obviously part 2. So let me see. Part 1. Take out the highest power of x, right? So the highest power of x is, this one's 12xx, 9xxx, and 6xxxx. We can take out two x's. So we can take out x squared on top. All three numbers 6, 9 and 12 are divisible by 3. This means we can take out 3 as well. Now when you take out 3x squared out of 6xx, the two x's disappear, and you divide 6 by 3 and you end up with 2xx or 2x squared. Next one, take out 2 x's and divide 9x by 3 and you end up with 3x, or minus 3x, because it's actually minus 9, so just be careful about the minus there. Now if you aren't certain, just multiply them back out. 6x4 correct, 3x squared by minus 3x minus 9x cubed correct, and finally the last one's going to be plus 4. Now what you're going to notice on the bottom is that there's a 3x squared on the bottom. Now you're meant to multiply this number by 3x squared, then you're meant to divide it by 3x squared. This means that you're allowed to cancel off the 3x squareds. So your answer is basically what's in this blue box here, okay? So that's your answer. Okay, next one. This one here might be considered slightly easier, okay? And all we gotta do is just, this part 2, all you gotta do is just write them out. For x, y, y, z, divided by 2xy, and just cancel off. Y cancels with y, x cancels with x, 2 divides into 4, leaves a 2 left over, so you're just going to be left with 2yz as the answer. Okay, so 2yz is the answer. Next one. The area of the rectangle AX is, so what we have here is a bit of a rectangle. Okay, and so the rectangle is here. And what we're going to have is, we're going to have 6x. We know that the area is 6x squared plus 4x minus 2. And what we also know is that the length is 3x minus 1. Now remember, area equals length multiplied by width. Therefore width equals area divided by length. Okay? So the way to write down this could actually be that you want to get the area and you want to divide it, and we've already done division today. You might want to divide it by 3x minus 1. Okay? And what you can do here then is you do what we did last time. 6x squared divided by 3x gets us 2x. Multiply 2x by everything down here, and what we end up with is 6x squared minus 2x. Change the sign because we're taking them away. So it's going to be a minus, this one's going to be a plus. So we end up with 6x, bring the 2 down, comes a minus 2. Once again, look at the first one. 6x divided by 3x is plus 2. Okay, so what we're going to get, multiply that by plus 2, and what we get is 6x minus 2. Come in, change the signs, and we get 0. And we notice that the width therefore equals 2x plus 2. Okay, so the width equals 2x plus 2. Now, what we got to do next is find the expression of width of the rectangle. That is done. Find an expression for the perimeter of the rectangle. So the perimeter of the rectangle is like running a lap, alright? So we have 2x plus 2. So if you imagine that you start here, you run a lap, so you run 2x plus 2 first, then you run a length of 3x plus 1, or 3x minus 1, then you run another 2x plus 2 around the side there, so plus 2x plus 2, and then finally you run your last stretch, which is another 3x minus 1 at the very top here. Okay, so 3x minus 1, so 3x minus 1. Now P of x basically means how do you get the perimeter in terms of x. So P of x, okay, so what happens here is we got to add all the x's together. 2x, 3x, 2x and 3x. We have 5x, 8x, 10x. And then we have 2 plus 2 is 4. 4 minus 2 is plus 2. So p of x equals 10x plus 2. That's the perimeter. Okay. Next one. Use the formula t equals 2 pi multiplied by the square root of length, or L divided by gravity. Find the value of L in terms of pi if t equals 4, not 4s, but so much 4 seconds, so t equals 4, and g equals 10. So what I'll do here is we can write down t is 4, 2 pi is still 2 pi, root L, we don't know what L is, keep it as L, and g is 10. Now, there's a rule here, okay, we need to get the L on its own, okay, and first thing we should get rid of is what's beside it, what's being multiplied by it, okay. So what we do is we bring the 2 pi as being multiplied on the right hand side of the equal sign, which means it's going to be division on the left. So move the 2 pi down and you get 4 divided by 2 pi equals square root of L over 10. The 2 divides into 4 twice, okay, so we can just change that to a 2 here. So we just change that into a 2. So that's going to be 2 over pi. Now, we want to get rid of this square root sign. So in order to get rid of that square root sign, we might want to square both sides. So square both sides, we basically put everything in brackets and square both sides. And what happens here is 2 over pi to be squared is basically 2 over pi multiplied by 2 over pi. If you square a square root sign, the square root sign disappears. So it's basically equal to L over 10. 2 by 2 is 4. Pi by pi is pi squared. And that equals L over 10. Now the only thing stopping the L being on its own is the 10. We're at a cross multiplication situation, so let's bring the 10 from bottom right to top left. 10 multiplied by 4 is 40, so it's going to be 40 over pi squared equals L. Okay. And in terms of pi, so I just want to see the answer in terms of pi. Okay, next one. Using the highest common factor, factorize each of the following. The highest common factor means, what's the highest common factor between 3 and 6? It's 3. How many x's are we allowed to take out? We're only allowed to take out 1 because that's the highest number. They don't have y's in common, so we're going to be left with 3x times x minus 2y. 3x multiplied by x, 3x squared, 3x multiplied by minus 2 minus 6xy. Next one, highest common factor between 20 and 5. Take out the 5. That's xxy. And this one here is xyy. We're only allowed to take out 1x and 1y because that's the highest number in each one. So 1x and 1y. There goes your x and y out of that one, and there goes your x. So basically what we have left is y in here. And 20 divided by 5 is minus 4. And we have an x left there. Now to check your answer, just multiply it out. So 5x multiplied by that is 5xy squared, which is what we're looking for. And 5 multiplied by 4 is 20. X by x is x squared. And y multiplied by basically 1 is y, so that's correct. Next one. What can we take out of 2 of these? We can't take out 4 because 4 doesn't divide into 6. But we can take out 2. So we can put 2. They both have a pi and a r. So we can say pi r. And then, so 2 into 4 goes twice. There's an r left over because there are 2 r's to begin with. And in this one there's a h left over. And 6 divided by 2 is 3. So plus 3h. Okay. The difference of two squares. 4 parts to this question. Now, difference of two squares is basically x squared minus y squared equals x plus y, x minus y. So, what we're going to try to start off is the first one. Now, you'll notice that they both have the number 5 will divide into both of them. So we put 5 out here, And then we're going to be left with 9a squared minus 4. Now, 9a squared minus 4. What happens is with 9a squared is that you got to figure out what is the square root of 9a squared. As it turns out, it's 3a, because 3a multiplied by itself is 9a squared. So 3a in brackets squared minus the square root of 4, which is 2 squared. The 5 is still out here. Now just ignore the 5 for a minute and just have a look at this here. Okay, we can see that x is going to be 3a and y is going to be 2. It's basically the difference of two squares, so what we're going to get is 5 into 3a plus 2 and 3a minus 2. Okay, so that's the first question done there. Now, the next one, okay, is 36x squared minus 25. So you have 36x squared minus 25. Square root both of them again. 36x squared, square root 36, you get 6. Square root x, you get x. So 6x squared, square root 25, you get 5. So it's 5 squared. X is 6x and y is 5. So just write out, replace x with 6x. 6x plus 5 and 6x minus 5. Okay, next one. Now the next one is a tricky one. It's a to the power 4 minus b to the power 4. Now, there's the rules of indices, right? And the rules of indices say that if you have a to the power 4, it's basically equal to a squared multiplied by 2. Because the two of these multiplied by each other, they get you a4. In the same way that a6 is the same thing as a3 squared, because 3 multiplied by 2 gets you 6. So what we're going to do for this question here is we're going to change this here into a squared to b squared minus b squared to b squared. And what you're going to see here is that in the x's position is a squared. So replace x with a squared and replace y with b squared. So you're going to end up with a plus b squared minus a squared minus b squared. Now, the problem is with this one is that there's also another difference of two squares here. Okay, so this part here. So the first one you can't do anything with it because it's a squared plus b squared. But this one here can actually be rewritten as a plus b, a minus b. So you get a plus b, a minus b. Okay. Now, the next one after this. You got to square root them both again. Square root of 1 is 1. Square root of xy squared, so that's xy, okay, is basically going to be xy to be squared. Because xy to be squared is xy by xy, which is xxyy, which is x squared y squared. Okay, it's the same thing. Now that you have that done, take away the 1 here, and that's minus 1 squared. So in the x's position is xy, so replace x with xy and replace this y here with 1, so it's going to be xy plus 1, xy minus 1. Okay. Next, factorize each of the following quadratic equations. Okay, I use what's called the reference number methods. Reference number method basically means you multiply the last number by the first number. Okay, so the last number by the first number. 3 by minus 10 is minus 30. Break minus 30 up into its factors. And the factors you're going to get are, you're looking to make 13 plus 13 in the middle with the factors. Okay. Now, you might think it's going to be 10 and 3. But the problem is, one of these has to be a minus. So either has to be minus 10 plus 3 or plus 10 minus 3. And what happens is both of them are either minus 7 or plus 7, so they're both wrong. Another answer could have been 2 and 15, But remember, one of them has to be minus, because when you multiply them both together, you gotta get minus 30. Looking for plus 13 in the middle, which means it's gonna be plus 15. Okay? So the way I'm going to rewrite this question is I'm going to rewrite it like this. So 3x squared plus 13x minus 10. What you do is you break up the 13x, so you get 3x squared, and then you're going to get plus 2x, because you're breaking 13x into minus 2x plus 15x. So it's going to be minus 2x, 3x squared minus 2x plus 15x minus 10. Now, what we got to do here is we got to take out what's in common. So we have two sets of 2, and what happens is we take out 3x. So we take out x because x is in common, and then what's left over is x multiplied by 3x is 3x squared. X, take out the x from 2x and you get 3x minus 2. Divide this 1 by 5, and the second bracket is always the same as the first bracket. That is guaranteed to happen. Okay, so this one always the same as this one, and what's outside is 5. Okay, now what you're going to have next is the first number, which is going to be x plus 5, and then in the second number it's going to be 3x minus 2. Okay, and that's the correct answer when you simplify it. Okay, now next question. Next question is going to be 15x squared minus 14x minus 8. Okay, multiply minus 8 by 15 to get the reference number, and minus 8 multiplied by 15 is minus 120. Okay, now minus 120 is an even number. Okay, so let's start dividing in some even numbers. So you can start off with maybe the number 4. So the first could be 4 and 30. Remember, one of them has to be negative. Let's go a bit bigger than that. Let's try 8 this time. So 8 and 15. Now, what you're going to notice is, if you're to have these as, we're looking for a minus number. So let's make the bigger number minus in each case. The first one is going to be minus 26. The second one is minus 7. We're looking for minus 14. So the answer lies somewhere in between the two of these, okay? So we're thinking, what even number is actually in between the two of these? Let's try the number 6. How many times does 6 divide into 120? Minus 20 times. 6 minus 20 gives you minus 14. And this is exactly what we're looking for, okay? So what we're going to get here is 15x squared minus plus 6x minus 20x, because we're changing the 14x into 6x minus 20x, which is the same thing, minus 8. Let's take out what it has in common. Take out 6 and 15. What's the highest common factor of 6 and 15? The number 3 divides into them both, so 3. They both have x in common. So what we can do here is going to be 3x into 5x plus 2. Now, because the first bracket is 5x plus 2, we know the other one has to be the same. So what number will come in here? So what number will multiply by 5x to give you minus 20x? And the answer is minus 4. Because minus 4 multiplied by 2 is also minus 8. Okay? So now that we have that done, what we can do next is we just need to factorize the numbers that come in front of the brackets. So the first bracket is 3x minus 4. And the second bracket is 5x plus 2. Okay. Next question, okay? Now the next formula is used both the sum and difference of two cubes. Now the sum of two cubes is x cubed plus y cubed, and the difference of two cubes is x cubed minus y cubed. Now to identify these questions, always be on the lookout for the following: 1 cubed, 2 cubed, 3 cubed, 4 cubed, 5 cubed. This basically all these numbers. They go like 1, 8, 27, 64, 125. Be on the lookout for these numbers when you're talking about difference of two cube questions, okay? So we'll begin. The next thing I'm going to do is going to write down a formula. Now this formula isn't going to be given in the test, so you got to know it off by heart, okay? So the formula is this. Okay, so x cubed plus y cubed is going to be x plus y brackets x squared minus xy plus y squared. Okay, now the next one, which is x cubed minus y cubed, is going to be x minus y equals x squared plus xy plus y cubed, y squared. Okay, so just notice the difference in the two ones, right? This one's a plus where this one's a minus, and this one's a minus where this one's a plus. Okay, that's a way of learning them off by heart. Okay, now let's look at the first question here. Okay, so we'll just get the first question here. We're just going to move this over to your side. So let's find out what number is the cube root of 27. So the cube root of 27 is 3. So we're going to get 3. Cube root of x is 3x. So it's going to be 3x cubed. Okay? Because 3x multiplied by 3x multiplied by another 3x is 27x cubed. Okay? And then we have y cubed here. Now compare this to your formula. What you have here is in the x's position you have 3x, and in the y's position you still actually have y. So we're comparing it to this formula here. So it's compared to the bottom formula is the one we're using because it's the minus sign in the middle. Okay, so we're using this formula here. So what's going to happen is we use the formula, replace x with 3x, y staying the same. Now we got to use x squared. Okay, so it's going to be 3x squared. And what 3x squared is 9x squared. Okay, so 3x to be squared is 9x squared. Then the next part is plus x times y, which is going to be 3x bracket y. And what we know about 3x bracket y is it's simply 3xy. And then finally plus y squared, and that's the y squared at the end. And that there is your answer for the first one, okay? Now, the answer to the second one, what we're going to have next is, we're going to have this is y squared. So it's going to be, look at both numbers, 8 and 27. It's a giveaway that it's going to be done this way. So get the cube root of 8, and what you get is 2 cubed. Get the cube root of 27, and that gives you 3. That's going to be 3k to be squared. Now, for this question here, okay, you can see that's a plus in the middle. So replace x equals 2, so replace x's with 2. So it's going to be 2 plus y. Y is 3k. So 2 plus 3k into, it's going to be 2 squared because x is 2. 2 squared is 4. Minus 2 times 3k. 2 times 3k is minus 6k. And finally, y squared, which is going to be 3k squared. And 3k to be squared is plus 9k squared. So that's your answer for that one there. Okay. Simplify each of the following fractions. We look at the top and we look at the bottom, okay? And what we can see is that this is part 1. This one here is part 2. So what we can see from the top and the bottom is what they have in common. So take out what they have in common, 2y. So take out y's, okay? So y into 7's left over plus 2y. And that's all divided by 7y. Now, because this y is being multiplied by 7 plus 2y, and then this answer is going to be divided by y, what we can do is we can cancel the two of these off. And that's going to leave our answer as 7 plus 2y divided by 7. Now, I'm not allowed to cancel the two sevens because this 7 is divided by 7. Well, this 7 isn't multiplying the top line, it's just part of the top line, so I have to leave the answer as is. Okay, next question, next part is we're going to count. We're going to count how many A's we have, alright? So we're going to have 7 A, 6 A's, 3 B's, and basically on the bottom we're going to have 5 A's and 4 B's. All we got to do is just start knocking them off, okay, one at a time. So 1, let's knock off 5 there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's knock off 3 B's on top, which knocks off these 3 B's on the bottom. Divide 7 by 14 and you get a half. So the answer is going to be A, which is left on top, divided by 2B. Okay. Next one. Simplify each of the following. Now this question is quite tough, okay? So what we might need to do here is we need to represent this as x over 1, and this one here is going to be presented as 1 over 1. Now when you're adding fractions together, see, this is what's called the original line, okay? So we're just going to leave this here and we're going to treat it like two separate questions. The top question in blue and the bottom question in green, okay? So there's two different questions here, okay? So top question in blue, bottom question in green, okay? So let's go for the blue part, okay? The blue part, what we're going to do is going to multiply the denominators by each other, bring the 1 up here, and bring the x minus 2 up here. So we're going to be left with is x bracket x minus 2 plus 1 multiplied by 2x divided by x minus 2. Okay? Now, that's that part done on top. Part on the bottom has to be done the same way. You multiply the denominators by each other, and you bring up the x plus 2 up here, and you bring the 1 up here. Okay? So what you're going to get, if I just do that, just get rid of them. So what you're going to do is we're going to multiply the bottoms by each other first of all. 1 times this is going to be x plus 2 into x minus 2. Next thing is bring the x plus 2 up, x plus 2, x minus 2 up beside the 1. So we're going to have x plus 2, x minus 2. Bring the 1 up beside the 4, and we're going to plus 4. Now, once again, a bit messy, so we need to tidy up. Just do some multiplying out and tidy up. So we have a red part here and a blue part here. So we'll go for the blue part first. X by x, x squared, x by minus 2, minus 2x. 1 by that, plus 2x. Right, those two x's, they cancel each other out. So rub them out. And what you're going to be left with on the top is x minus 2. Now we're going to do the bottom part, which is the red part. So we're going to multiply these out. X by x, x squared, x by minus 2, minus 2x, x by 2, plus 2x. Two of them, they'll cancel each other out, so you can let them go. And then 2 by minus 2 is minus 4. And then we have the plus 4 from earlier. And then we have all that divided by x plus 2, x minus 2. Now, see the plus 4 and the minus 4? They're going to cancel each other out. Okay, so the plus 4 and the minus 4 are going to cancel each other out. And what you're going to be left with is x squared. Now, there's a rule about fraction divided by another fraction. A fraction divided by another fraction. So remember your junior cert where you'd have 3/4 divided by a half. What you do is, it could also look like this, 3/4 divided by a half. What you do is you bring the half up to the top and turn it upside down. So you get 3/4 multiplied by 2 over 1, which would have been 6 over 4, or 3 over 2. So we do the same thing here. what we do is we bring the red one to the top and turn it upside down. So turn the red one upside down, and what happens is this. It'll be going to turn into the purple one here. Turn it upside down and bring it to the top. X squared ends up on the bottom. X plus 2, X minus 2 ends up on the top. Okay, then we can just rub out this bottom part here. Now we got to multiply these by each other. Now, what you're going to notice is it's multiplied by x squared on the top, but it's divided by x squared on the bottom. The two of them can cancel. It's multiplied by x minus 2 on top, and it's divided by x minus 2 on the bottom. The two of them will cancel, leaving your answer as x plus 2. Okay? Next one. If 2x squared plus 5x plus 6 equals p into x plus q plus r for all values of x, find the values of p, q, and r. Okay, so what we need to do here, this is what's called an identity. So what we need to do is we need to multiply out the one to the right. Okay, so we need to multiply this out. So what we're going to get is p multiplied by that is px. P multiplied by, oh sorry, I didn't have to square this first, excuse me. It's going to be p multiplied by x plus q into x plus q plus r. And what we're going to have to do next is I'm going to multiply out these two first. So x by x, the p is still on the outside, being waiting to multiply in. X by x is x squared. X by q is qx. X by q is qx. Q by x is also qx. And q by q is q squared. Now what I can do to the middle here is I can see that there's two qx's. Okay, so just qx here is twice. So it's going to be equal to 2qx. Okay, so 2qx plus q squared. So 2qx plus q squared. And this is plus r. Let's multiply these out. So we're going to get is px squared. Multiply this and we're going to get 2pqx plus pq squared plus r. Now what you need to do is you need to segment them into three sections. The numbers that have x cubed in them. So what you're going to see here, x squared I mean, so px squared equals 2x squared. Therefore p has to be equal to 2. The next one is the ones that have x in them. So what you're going to see here is 2pqx. So I'll underline these in red. So 2pqx is equal to 5x. The x's can cancel on both sides. And what we know about p is that p equals 2. So p is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So you're going to have 4q equals 5. Therefore q equals 5 over 4. Now, the final one that's in green is the number that hasn't got any x's in it. So this green underlined number must equal 6. Okay, so we're going to end up with pq squared plus r equals 6. And what we can say is that we already know what p and q are. P is 2. Q is 5 over 4 squared. Plus r equals 6. Place this bit into your calculator. See what comes out. Is 25 over 8. Okay, so that's going to get you 25 over 8 plus r equals 6. Move to 25 over 8 over the other side. And we're going to get is r equals 6 minus 25 over 8. And therefore r is equal to 23 over 8. Okay, so next part. Write 1 over x plus 1 by x plus 4 as partial fractions. Okay, so to do this, what we first do is get common denominators with the bottom, right? So a into x plus 1 plus b divided by x plus 4. So what we do is we do our three arrows, black, blue, and red. So red is basically a times x plus 4. Blue is going to be b times x plus 1. And then the bottom one is just multiply them by each other, and you get x plus 1 divided by x plus 4. Now, what it says is write this one as partial fractions. Okay, so write 1 over x plus 1, 1 divided by x plus 1 multiplied by x plus 4. So that equals 1 over x plus 1 over x plus 4. Now what you can see is that they both have the same denominator. So the denominators can disappear. And what you're going to be left with is you're going to have to multiply these out. Okay. And what we're going to get is ax plus 4a plus bx plus b equals 1. Okay. And what we need to do, we notice that some of these have x's in them. Okay. But there's no x's over the other side, so that's actually going to be 0x. Because 1 is the same as 1 plus 0 x's. So what we need to do is need to branch them off together. So we have ax plus bx equals 0x. So what we can write down here is ax plus bx equals 0x. So this means that the numbers that come in front of the x's when added together must equal 0. So what we can do is we can just get rid of the x's. And what we have here is a plus b equals 0. Vice versa, the opposite is that this equals 1. The real numbers equals 1. So 4a plus b equals 1. So we're going to get is 4a plus b equals 1. So what can happen here now is basically what we have to find out what a and b is. We have a simultaneous equation. So what we gotta do here with the simultaneous equation is we're gonna take away. What we do is we decide on a letter to get rid of. So I'm gonna get rid of the b's. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change the signs on one of them. So I'm gonna change the signs on the top one. So it's gonna be minus a. Now it's gonna be minus b, and 0 is still minus 0. So we're gonna add them together. And I'm gonna get is 3a equals 1. Therefore a has to be 1 over 3. Now what we know from earlier is that a plus b equals 0. So if a is a third, so a is going to be a third plus b equals 0. Bring the third over the other side, therefore b has to be minus 1/3. And that's basically your answer there, okay? So write as partial fractions a plus b over x plus 1. So a is a third and b is minus a third. So what we got to do here is we got to write down the full answer now. So what we gotta get here is the following. We're going to get as partial fractions, okay? So we're going to get a third, which is a divided by x plus 1, minus minus a third divided by x plus 4. Now, what you can do with fractions is, if you remember what we can do with fractions is, if we had a third, so if we had a third divided by 2, for instance, in the junior third, or a third divided by 2, and we would have written 2 as 2 over 1, what we would have got was a third multiplied by a half. So we would have turned the bottom one upside down and multiplied it, okay? So what we can get is, it's the same thing as a third multiply by 1 over x plus 1. In the same way that this is going to be, you're going to have to change that. See that you're multiplying plus 1 by minus a third, so that's going to be minus a third divided by 1 over x plus 4. And the way the question is going to look at the final answer is going to be 1 over 3 into x plus 1 minus 1 into 3 into x plus 4. Okay. Next one. In each of the following, express a in terms of the other variables. Okay. So x over y equals a plus b, a minus b. Now, I have two golden rules about this. If you can cross multiply, do so. Okay, so I'm just going to rid myself of this one. If you can cross multiply, do so. So what we have here is x equals a plus b, y equals a minus b. So the rules is cross multiply if you can. Cross multiply if you can, and to remove brackets. Now that usually works, but when you have when you're asked to get a letter on its own, we're asked to get a on its own. When there's two a's in the question, there's going to be a point where we have to factorize, and the factorize makes two a's into one a. So we'll follow what we always do. We cross multiply, and what we're going to be left with is x into a minus b equals y into a plus b. Cross multiply. Remove brackets, as in multiply out brackets. So what we're going to get here is ax minus bx equals ay plus by. Now, we want to get all a's on their own, so the a's have to go over one side. Okay, so what the a's need to do is need to go over one side. So what we're going to get is ax minus ay. Bring over bx, so we're going to get bx plus by. So I'll put the bx plus by. Now the problem is we now have the a's over one side, but the problem with the a's is that basically there's two of them. Now to turn two of them into one, we factorize. So a into x minus y equals bx plus by. Okay, now because we're multiplying a by the number x minus y, when we move x minus y over, it's going to go into division mode. Okay, so a equals bx plus by divided by x minus y. You could also write that by taking out b on top as b into x plus y bracket x minus y. Okay, both answers are very much the same. Okay, next one. The next one we're doing is we are going to do this one here. B minus AC equals AC. So what we're going to do is bring the AC over to your side, and we're going to get BC equals 2AC, or the same thing as 2AC equals BC. Now the A has been multiplied by 2 and C. Bring them down into division mode, so A is going to be BC divided by 2C. And what you can see now is the C's will cancel, so the answer is B over 2. A equals B over 2. Now, next one. Express V, so we want to get V on its own. So what we do is we get rid of the brackets when we can. So we're going to end up with y equals 3u minus 3v divided by 4. Now, as I always say, cross multiply if you can. So bring the 1 up here and bring the 4 up here. Okay, so the 4 is going to go up beside the y, so we're going to end up with 4y equals 3u minus 3v. Now we can bring the 3v to the left and the 4y to the right, so we're going to end up with 3v equals 3u minus 4y. We want to get rid of this 3, so it goes into division mode over the other side, so 4y divided by 3. Okay, next question after this. Okay, S equals t over 2 times u plus v. Multiply the t, so that's basically t over 2 multiplied by u plus v. The u plus v is on top, so it's top by top, bottom by bottom. So you're going to end up with ut. So we get phi on its own, yep. So, okay, so where was I? You multiply top by top, so t by u is ut. T by v is phi t. And that's all divided by 2. And that's s over 1. Cross multiply if you can, so you're going to get 2s equals ut plus phi t. You want v on its own, so bring ut out the other side. So we're going to get is 2s minus ut equals phi t. Spin it around so that the phi t is on the left. So 2s minus ut. You want the v on its own. The t is stopping it. It's phi multiplied by t, which means that's going to be, when you bring the t out the other side, it's going to be divided by t. So 2s minus ut divided by t. Okay. Alright. Find the unknown in each case. So what I do when I'm doing these is I ignore the right hand side. I pretend it doesn't exist for a minute. And I do the left side. So what happens when I do the left side is, going to multiply the two of these by each other. And what we're going to get is 5, we're going to do 3 lines, 5 multiplied by 4, 5 multiplied by 2r minus 3, and 4 multiplied by 3r minus 2. So you're going to get 4 into 3r minus 2, minus 5 into 2r minus 3. The bottom is 5 multiplied by 4, which is 20, and that equals a half. So what we're going to do next is we're going to multiply these out, and we're going to get 12r minus 8 minus 10r. 5 multiplied by 2r, 5 multiplied by 3 is plus 15, all divided by 20, and that's going to equal a half. And what we're going to do next is tidy up the top. So 12r minus 10r is 2r, plus 15 minus 8, plus 7, divided by 20 equals a half. What we're going to do next is we're going to cross multiply. 2 multiplied by the 2r plus 7 and the 20 multiplied by the 1. Okay, so just quick check here just to make sure everything's alright. 4 multiplied by 3r minus 2, 12r minus 8. 5 multiplied by 2r minus 3, 5 times 2r is minus 10r, minus 5 by minus 3 is plus 15. Now 12r minus 10r is 2r, minus 8 plus 15 is plus 7. Okay, so now we're going to multiply them out and we're going to get 4r plus 14 equals 20. Bring the 14 over the other side. 4r equals 6. R equals 6 divided by 4. R will get me 3 over 2. Okay, now the final one is a simultaneous equation with 3 unknowns. We're going to label these A, B, and C. So when we label this A, B, and C, what we're going to do is we're going to have to figure out, we're going to use A and B. I'm going to decide to get rid of the Z's. Okay, the Z's are the ones I want to get rid of. Okay, so I'm going to use A and B together. I'm just going to add A and B together. So I'm going to get 2x plus y minus z equals 9. x plus 2y plus z equals 6. Add them all together, and we're going to get is 3x plus 3y equals 15. I can divide everything there by 3 because 3 is divisible into everything there, so I'm going to get x plus y equals 5. I'm going to call this equation D, and D was formed using A and B. So next thing I'm going to use is I'm going to use A and C. Now you notice that I want to get rid of the z's again, because that's what I did with the first one. So I'd like this to be 2z, so I'm going to use 2a. I'm going to multiply a by 2, and I'm going to get, for this one here, I'm going to get 2 multiplied 2a. So it's going to be 2 multiplied with that is 4x plus 2y minus 2z equals 18. Next one we're going to get is just going to be normal b. So it's going to be x plus 2y. Oh, sorry, not b, I'm using c, excuse me. So it'll be 3x minus y plus 2z equals 17. And we're going to add these together. We're going to get 7x plus 2y minus y is plus y minus 2z plus 2z is 0 equals 35. And we're going to call this equation E. And equation E is formed from A and C together. Now, what we got to do next is we got to put both equations D and E together. So let's use D and E. So you notice that we're going to use minus D, because I need a minus y there, so I'm going to use minus D underneath this. So I'm going to get minus x minus y equals minus 5. And then what I can get here is get rid of those y's, so I'm going to get 6x equals 30. X equals 30 divided by 6, which is 5. Okay, now since x is 5, x plus y equals, x plus y is going to be equal to 5. So if x is 5, this means that y has to be equal to 0. So if x is 5, y is 0. And all we got to do now is find out what z is. So we just have to pick one of the equations. So maybe 2x, we'll pick this equation on top here, the first equation. So we know that x is 5 and y is 0. So what we're going to get is 2 times 5 is 10, plus 0, minus z equals 9. 10 minus z equals 9. Z must be equal to 1. Okay, that's the end of that.